everyone, how's it going? Whenever you look at indie games, you generally see a source of inspiration tied to the past, and not just from graphics, but also
Hey everyone, how's it going? Whenever you look at indie titles, you generally see a source of inspiration tied to the past. And not just from the graphics, but also the era of gaming that once was. We have several divisions of the developer scene taking a slice of the indie cake in the realm of gaming, from homebrew developers using developer kits for 8 to 16-bit consoles, even Atari platforms, developers with 32-bit fever coming back from the late 90s, as well as those that are developing for fantasy consoles like the Pico 8. As you can see, there are a magnitude of options available, and looking even further, you'll see that some games have gone for very specific and not as well-known aesthetics compared to the popular PS1 or pixel-based indie titles that we have in spades. You have MS-DOS inspired titles, and even titles reminiscent of Atari PCs. But what if I told you that there was a game that coats itself as such, or at the very least has a romanticized connection with the Atari PC release from the 80s, more specifically the 520 ST, that it would come out in a microdose of zombified pixels, with a crosshair to blast them off like it's House of the Dead, and all for the spill of $4.50. Well, I have a short but fun game here known as BioCrisis. BioCrisis is a pixel-based on-rail shooter developed by Jim, who was dwelling in the gigantic bowels of the Unity engine during this game's development, showering it with a 16-color palette, light gun-based gameplay, the spirit of the Atari 520 ST PC, and a shoestring narrative to go along with it, with one level, a timer, and a scoreboard as well. In the past, I've actually covered another game called BioCrisis developed by Spiner, but that one is more so inspired by the original Resident Evil trilogy from the 90s, whereas this BioCrisis is more so inspired by the House of the Dead, but in a minimalistic and quick format that can be finished in minutes. While light gun on rail shooter games aren't quite the same without the physical touch of, well, the light gun, this game is still designed with a very simple and focused experience that it's enjoyable with or without one. My own experience had me using the mouse and keyboard, something that I've been accustomed to for years, and the handling of the crosshair here is pretty seamless and simple as it should be. On-rails experiences emphasize the importance of smart aiming and not just clicking on anything that appears on the screen, and this game abides by that rule as well. BioCrisis, made by Jim, is a very simple and somewhat challenging game when you factor in the desire to improve your score. And when it comes to wave-based games or horde-based modes, getting the highest score is the general incentive to build that desire for improvement in the game. The score here is the game's only incentive to continue playing it, but after reaching a score of 228,300 points, I felt like that was a good note to end it on. In any event though, I am going to still dive into the game and tell you a bit more about this short and sweet time in a pixelated hazmat suit. The game's shoestring and straight to the point narrative has you nested in the year 20XX AD. I guess the Atari computer glitched out and confused the last two digits for X's. Anyways, a government experiment to transcend death went horribly wrong, leading to pixelated abominations in the lab. Of course it went wrong, and besides, how can this lab defeat death when they couldn't even go beyond 16 colors on the screen? However, here is your character, lucky and unlucky, who has survived so far and has reached the exit, which leads to the main gameplay loop that we'll be faced with here. In BioCrisis, you'll be shooting waves of hazmat-wearing zombies coming towards you with your trusty pistol, grenades, as well as pickup items that will assist you in upping your score and stopping them from killing you, keeping you alive, as well as supplying you with more explosives that come towards you, as well as more time on the clock when you shoot the clocks. There is only one enemy type that are separated by 4 colors: blue, green, orange, and red. Each color indicates how many bullets are required. Blue has 1, green 2, orange 3, and red 4. Also, each of the 4 colored zombies, when you kill them, will spawn in a specific item allocated to each of them. So if your goal is to get the highest score possible, you'll then be relying on the luck of having more reds and oranges appearing on the screen. If you die, you start again, but due to how small this game is, and the fact that it's only one level, dying isn't that big of a deal at all. You just spin the record once more and start bleeding your index finger until your blood has stained the mouse, with pixelated blood and gore left in your wake. When the timer runs out, you're then shown a cutscene of the character escaping the lab, only to see the city before you be given the Resident Evil 2 treatment, because of course it was never just going to be the lab. In fact, a sequel to this game is already underway called BioCrisis: Return to the Lab. So far, it's looking pretty promising, and from my playthrough of it, it looks to be a far more realised version of the first one, going from Atari 520 inspired graphics to House of the Dead 1 on the arcade style graphics in 3D. I love the aesthetics of both of them, and the transition to 3D opens up more possibilities for the sequel, but seeing the second game also made me think that more could have been done with the first title, given that it has a pretty simple framework to its gameplay, and that you really only just have the on-rail mechanics and the art style established, leaving a lot of room for more. Playing House of the Dead 1 and Typing the Dead has sparked an interest in playing more of these on-rail type games, and while I wanted more from the first BioCrisis, it was still worth the purchase for me, and I'll be keeping an eye out for more stuff on the rails in the future. The second game has a demo available that you can download on Steam currently, but it does have some significant bugs that I've experienced myself, where the ammo for the other weapons doesn't register the spending of the ammo, or revert to the pistol on the screen after the ammo is depleted on the other weapons. And the boss that I reached at the end, I couldn't finish because it would bug out completely and no further damage could be done to it. In saying that though, I am still going to keep a sharp eye on the sequel, and in the meanwhile, there is still the first game to have a go of if you don't mind having a short and sweet experience, only for $4.50 in Australian dollars. If you're looking for a game that has the on-rails-like experience similar to House of the Dead but with pixel-based art, then this one is definitely worth a try. Happy clicking, and
thanks for watching.